We're starting a whole new series covering the world of audiobook publishing. And, it's been growing year over year lately. And a lot of people are kind of wondering, hey, is this the place for me to go to? And should I be handling this or should I be doing that? Well, I'm going to be covering the main audiobook publishing companies out there over the next couple of months. And of course, we've got to start things off with Audiobook Creation Exchange, also known as ACX, the direct pipeline to Audible, if you will. And what are they like here in 2024? I'm going to try my best not to go on to a full rant. I just want to give you guys the information and probably give you some of my opinions towards the end of the broadcast. So make sure that you stick around. Get access to over 6 different courses. Actually, I think we're already up to 7 or 8. Half dozen always sounds good. Hundreds of videos and hours of content about the business of self-publishing when you subscribe to my premium video on-demand service, theselfpublishinghub.com. For only $9.99 per month, you can get all the deep insights and exclusive videos that I offer there, and start it when you like, binge all you want, cancel it when it works best for you. You can literally subscribe for 1 month, watch all my videos, and cancel it. It won't hurt my feelings. That's literally how I do some of these streaming services. Remember, it's the one, the only, theselfpublishinghub.com. All right, let's get into this here. What is Audiobook Creation Exchange, also known as ACX? Is an online marketplace where authors, narrators, agents, publishers, and rights holders can create audiobooks. Now, ACX was launched in 2011 by Audible, an Amazon company, and is the world's largest audiobook network. They publish audiobooks on Audible, Amazon, and Apple. Yeah, just those 3 avenues. Now, it is only available to businesses within the US, the UK, Canada, and Ireland. There's no wiggle room. If you're outside of those 4 regions, you're going to have to look at the other alternatives like Findaway Voices by Spotify or Audiobooks Unleashed or Lantern Audio. You get the idea. Don't try to test them. There's been numerous times I've heard a lot of authors that are outside of those 4 regions that try to set up shop and they get their accounts frozen. Just don't even bother with it. I don't know if they're ever going to roll out more support beyond those 4 regions, because it's been a while since they rolled it out to Canada and Ireland. So, yeah, we'll see in due time. But just know that you shouldn't try to set up shop to ACX if you're not in those 4 regions. I've warned you about this one here. Now, as far as their audiobooks go, obviously they publish nothing but audiobooks. It is the path to publishing audiobooks directly to 3 of the biggest audiobook retail platforms. Now, it's super simple to kind of go through and publish a book. All you got to do is claim your title inside your ACX account. Now, this is one of my big beefs right here, and I'm not going to go ranty. I promise. Said I would go a little simple here, easy on you guys. But you don't necessarily show up and just publish books. Like, you have to claim your title, and that means that you have to have the ebook or the print book version already available on Amazon. Now, this is the only platform that does this. All the other audiobook distributors don't bother with that. You can just show up with an audiobook and you don't have to have that match up. But for ACX, for whatever reason, they decide they're going to do that. Sometimes the biggest issue in claiming the titles is anybody could do it. So long as it's available, you can go over and just claim it. And that's actually happened in the past. There's been some scammers and some ne'er-do-wells that will go over and claim a title that doesn't have an audiobook on it, and then they just pump out something for that. Yeah, not good. Don't like their claiming system, but that's just me. Now, there are 2 ways to publish your audiobooks. The very first way is do it yourself. So if you already have a narrator, or if you're narrating your own audiobook and you got your audio files and such, all you got to do is just upload it there. By the way, there is no additional cost whether you're using the DIY option or hiring a narrator. Yes, paying for a narrator is going to cost money, but you don't have to pay ACX that money. You pay the narrator that money. Now, that means that the other option is hiring a narrator from their marketplace. Now, their marketplace is probably one of the best on the market today. They have a ton of inexperienced to veteran self-publishers or, veteran audiobook narrators that are over on there. And some of them are actually even Audible certified that, ACX gets behind some of them. you will find all different types of narrators for all different types of budgets with all different types of things, including accents, gender that you might want to have, maybe even somebody that is experienced in your niche that you want to lean into. So the marketplace is really, really nice. And you can also direct message the narrators on that platform if you ever have questions, concerns, or comments. So here's the deal though. Once you approve the first 15 minutes when you're working with a narrator that you have chosen, you're officially, it's off to the races. Because as soon as you approve those 15 minutes, you've gone fully into an agreement with the narrator. And the only way to break that is if the narrator agrees to it, or if they do something particularly egregious that you can be able to get them removed from that. And those instances, I'm sure, would probably be handled by the ACX support, of course. All right, let's focus on hiring a narrator here for just a second. There is what's referred to as pay for production. Now, pay for production includes a couple of different models. Now, the very first one is PFH, or per finished hour. Essentially, how it works is you pay a narrator based on the finished product, not the number of hours they put into it. Now, if you happen to find somebody off the platform, sure, you can probably find them based on something completely different, but for the most part, it's through per finished hour. And you're going to find that most good narrators are going to probably start right around $250 or more. I've seen right about $250 to $400 per finished hour. Now you're looking at that, you're going, oh my gosh, I can't believe they're getting paid that much. Keep in mind that typically it's going to take about 1 to 3 hours of production time for 1 hour of finished content. Now this varies. Obviously with more experienced narrators, it might be faster. For some of the narrators that are not as experienced, or maybe a lot more in depth about their editing process, chances are very likely it's going to be at the higher end of things. So just keep that in mind. Now, if you happen to find somebody that's below that amount, go for it. But I would say put a ring on it, because if that narrator is good and they're charging less than $200, I've heard some people say they've gotten some narrators for $50 per finished hour. Kudos to you. I will tell you from my experience and me doing my own audiobooks, I rented a local studio for about $50 per hour. And the sound engineer charged the same amount, $50 per hour, to go through and edit and master the stuff. When it was all said and done, for one of my titles that was Amazon Keywords for Books, it cost me about $600. When it broke down to the actual production, $600, it was $300. Was it $300? $600. Well, either way, I ended up figuring out the math behind it, and it was $125 per finished hour for me to break even. So that means if I was doing a book for somebody, I would probably charge significantly more than that, because $125 per finished hour is just paying for the time at the studio. I need to still be paid for my time and my expertise as well. So just think about that right there when you're trying to negotiate with a narrator and you're thinking to yourself, oh, I'm going to get them for as cheap as possible. Remember, they're the ones that are going to have to sit here and listen to that audiobook 50,000 times until they get it right. So don't cheap out on that one. Now, the other two ways of getting a narrator, not my favorite. I'm just going to put it out there right now. We're going to start out with royalty share. Now, royalty share is a 50-50% agreement between you and a narrator. So in the event you go into a royalty share program, it's going to be 50% of earnings goes to you and 50% goes to the narrator. So it's good in that if you don't have the cash, you don't have the confidence that you're going to make that money back, then chances are super likely that this is going to work out for you. It is a 7-year deal. Now, at the end of the 7 years, it's just going to auto-renew every year thereafter. You don't get the rights to that audio content when that 7-year deal is up. No. That deal continues to run until you otherwise buy out that agreement from the narrator or come to an agreement with the narrator to get the rights to the audio content. Now, here's the problem. If you auto-renew, no issue. It's just going to keep doing the 50-50 royalty split with you. Okay, fair enough. But if you want to get the rights to the audiobook, let's just assume you'd reach out to the audiobook narrator and say, hey, I want to buy the rights to this. How much is it? Now, typically, they're going to probably charge you the per finished hour, although I've found that in a lot of instances when you've already into a royalty share agreement with a narrator that's performing really well, it's going to cost significantly more to buy them out. They're not going to charge you their per finished hour because they're going to lose a significant amount of money by, giving that up to you. So with all that out of the way, you actually have to get a hold of support. And by the way, to get a hold of support at acx.com. And you will actually have to get them to delist your title. Yep. In order for you to get the rights back, you have to remove it from circulation. You can't simply just buy out the 50-50 royalty agreement with the narrator and then, hey, I'm done. All the money comes to me. No, you gotta buy it out. You gotta delist it. And if you delist it, you lose all the reviews on Audible and any algorithmic relevancy. Yeah, you lose that relevance altogether. And that can be really detrimental. You can then publish that audiobook and keep 100% of the earnings coming to you. And as well, if you wanted to go non-exclusive, you can also distribute to other platforms, but make sure that you speak with the narrator about that because you're going to need to come to an agreement with them. The other way to get a narrator is through the Royalty Share Plus program, and that is a mixture of per finished hour with the royalty share. So essentially, they're going to give you their services at a bit of a discount. So for someone like me, if I were to do a Royalty Share Plus program with you, a rights holder, I'm going to probably be asking for $125 since that is my break even. So that way I could rent out that local studio and get that done over there and not have to pull anything out of the pocket. So Royalty Share Plus seems like it may not be too good of a deal, but you're going to probably find some more premium elite level narrators at that, because there's going to be some narrators that do not want to mess with anything in royalty share whatsoever. They only do per finished hour. That's it. So be very selective about how you choose to go forward. Now, as far as the specs goes, I was really debating about sharing all of the different specs, but to be honest with you, a lot of it just goes over my head. I leave that to the pros. They got very rigid specifications. You'll want to review those specs if you're producing the audiobook yourself, obviously. Otherwise, leave it up to an experienced narrator to handle that. So, for instance, when I was working with my sound engineer, I just told him, hey, get these things done according to these specs. Now, the good news is ACX has something called the Audio Lab. I'll put a link to the Audio Lab inside the show notes as per usual, and you can go and upload a file to Audio Lab, and it will tell you if it's going to pass or if it's not going to pass, and the reason why it's not going to pass. So that's really nice about the Audio Lab. It's 100% free to use. Really nice tool. Now, according to them, once you submit your title for distribution, they say the review time takes 10 business days. But I don't know. Unless it's changed recently, it's taken a lot longer than 10 business days for me. But according to their site, and this is something that was posted within the last year, it's 10 business days to get it reviewed. Now, you will submit this, and at that point, their quality assurance team is going to go through and check all the files, make sure that it has all the specifications that they're looking for. Despite using Audio Lab and despite uploading it, and usually there's an automated service when you do upload it to let you know if it's passed. So the quality assurance team goes in and triple checks that stuff. So, all right, now as far as the royalty go, now here's where it gets a little hairy because there's two different types of royalty. You get 40% exclusive for exclusive access. So if you don't plan on publishing anywhere outside of Audiobook Creation Exchange, then go for the 40%. That's the highest you're going to get. Now, a lot of people will say, gosh, that's absurdly low, especially in comparison to getting print book sales and getting ebook sales. Why? Why so low? You're going to have to ask them that. Don't know. I don't know why they make it that low. It should be considerably higher. And I'll share a little bit more insights here towards the end of the podcast about some progress in moving forward and getting a better royalty. But right now it's on hold. Now, if you go exclusive, you're going to get 50 promo codes for US and UK. Now, I believe they only give a certain amount at a time. You have to use those in order to actually ask for more. But for the most part, you can get it for the US and UK only. They have no monetary value. They used to have a monetary value, but then there was a lot of scammers out there that were just abusing the system, and so they removed the monetary value on those. Having and distributing those promo codes is really beneficial for marketing and promotion, because if you hand out those promo codes, you're hoping someone's going to leave a review or share your audiobook with somebody else who would enjoy it as well. Now, if you are in that exclusive agreement, once you decide you're going to go exclusive with them, you can't break that agreement until 90 days after the on sale date. So in the event you get into this and you get cold feet for whatever reason, you're going to have to then wait for the 90 days, and then you would get a hold of support@acx.com to let them know that you would like to remove it from the exclusive agreement. Now, there are few exceptions to that rule. I don't think many people are going to do it, but one thing I would recommend is once you switch from exclusive to non-exclusive or vice versa, that you stick with it. Make sure you are 100% certain that's the direction that you want to use. So just be very careful on that one right there. Now, the other agreement is with 25% royalty on non-exclusive. So if you want to publish beyond Audiobook Creation Exchange, you want to get past Amazon, Audible, and Apple, then the 25% is for you. Yeah, we're taking a 15% cut. Now, when you're doing a royalty share, you're automatically locked in with exclusive. That's it. There's no negotiation. If you hire your own narrator, it's up to you. You can do exclusive, you can do non-exclusive. 100% up to you. But royalty share, stuck on exclusive. You are there for good. Well, until you otherwise buy out of it. So just keep that in mind. Now, as far as pricing goes, all right, this is the interesting one. You don't set the price. No. I mean, unless you purposely make the length of your audiobook longer, because it's all based on length. In fact, in their words, each retailer of your audiobook independently prices your product and determines such price in their sole discretion. While not always the case, the regular price on Audible for the product is generally priced based on its length as follows. Under 1 hour, it's going to be under $7. 1 to 3 hours, it's $7 to $10. 3 to 5 hours, it's $10 to $20. 5 to 10 hours, it's $15 to $25. 10 to 20 hours, it's $20 to $30, and over 20 hours, it's $25 to $35. Any of the other audiobook publishing platforms beyond ACX, you can price it yourself. You could put the value that you see fit. Not my favorite thing. I'm not going to go into a rant. I already said I'm getting roped in on some of these things. I'm feeling like I'm getting ready to rant, but I'm stopping. Yeah, they decided that the value is based on your length. Can you imagine if that's how you would price your print books or your ebooks? How long it was, that's how much you're going to price it? That's ridiculous. But either way, you're paid 3 different ways through different types of credits. Now, the first way is AL. It's going to be listed as AL. That represents an Audible listener. This is a member credit sales in which a member of Audible purchases your audiobook using a membership credit. Now, based on whatever their membership they have, it will give them a certain amount of credits, whether it be 1, 2, or I think 4, or something like that, membership credits that they will get per month that they can use, and they can, get their audiobook that way. Now, ALOP is the other one. That's a la carte purchases made by an Audible listener. Now, Audible subscribers will actually get some discounts that they're allowed to use on other audiobooks. So this is going to be the applicable option here for ALOP. The third option is ALC, which is a la carte purchases made by a customer who isn't an Audible listener. So if for some reason someone outright buys your book, they're not a member of Audible, that's this one. It's going to be the best royalty you're going to get of any of the options. Now, they're not very transparent about these sales types they're not very transparent about these sales types, though this past week they did send out an email. ACX did share how the downloadable sales reports have improved. How good is it? We're not too sure yet, since this will be the first month of these reports. So hang in there. I'll try to keep you updated here on this podcast about how those reports start to turn out. Now, how does ACX pay? They do it through direct deposit or check. And you must have a $10 minimum in order to get your payment. So if you don't get that $10, it rolls over until you do get to that point. Now, other notable features and options of ACX that I'd like to showcase: ACX's Audible Lab, really like it, fantastic. Auditions, this is really cool. Now, if you do go with hiring somebody on the platform, whether through royalty share or even through PFH, doing auditions is a blast, because you would essentially put in like a single page or two for some narrators to apply for your audiobook. And it can be a lot of fun. You can find some real good narrators out there, and you're going to find some real doozies out there. I heard one guy, gosh, sounded like he was narrating through his iPhone 3 or something, you know? Other notable feature, the bounty program. If you end up referring somebody through a link that they provide you through your ACX dashboard, and they become an Audible member beyond the 30-day trial that they're going to be getting. In other words, they do free for 30 days and they go 30 days of being an Audible member, you get $75. Now, in the instance of the royalty share agreement, you would get $50 and your narrator would get $25. That's the only time that is not a 50-50 split, is through the bounty program. So something to kind of think about. Hey, one of the greatest ways to support this podcast is subscribe to the selfpublishinghub.com. For only $9.99 per month, you can access all of my exclusive videos and content. Remember, it's the one, the only, theselfpublishinghub.com. Here are my final thoughts when it comes to ACX. I'm just going to give you some of the pros and cons. The pros include it's a direct pipeline to audiobook sales on Audible and Amazon. It's a massive juggernaut. I mean, Audible and Amazon just dominate things. And I can see why sometimes some people are just willing to just roll over and take exactly what ACX gives them and not question it, because they have a massive audience. Also, ACX is great for finding experienced narrators. There are a lot of really great narrators on their platform, and I've worked with a good handful of them and loved them over the years. So fantastic on that part. Now, as far as the cons go, you got no control over pricing. It's so stupid. Absolutely dumb. You hear me, ACX? That you are charging based on length. That is just absurd. And it's, gosh, almost as absurd as that ridiculously low royalty. If you're going to charge us a low royalty, at least give us the option to change the pricing. I said I wasn't going to rant. I'm going to get you on this one here. Let me go on that one. And the other thing is, it is limited reach. Yes, you do hit the juggernauts of Amazon and Audible, and to a certain extent Apple, but you are missing other very viable avenues. Libraries, for instance. You're not going to be able to get your audiobooks in the library if you're doing a 40% exclusive agreement. You're not going to be able to get over to other places like Kobo Writing Life, or places like Authors Republic, or some of the many options offered by Findaway Voices by Spotify. So there is still some limitations. And if you're not seeing that return on investment going through ACX's exclusive, then might I recommend that you just go ahead and think about going 25%, and you can hit all those other avenues. There's some notable criticism over the past few years here. Ally Watchdog Service more recently had updated the rating for ACX to a cautionary rating for some of the things that I've ranted about before. You want more details about some of the scoop on why that happened? Go to audiblegate.com. Audiblegate continues to go on, and it seems like they are still slowly but surely pushing that cart forward and hopefully getting a little bit of results from that. But the good news is that famous fantasy author Brandon Sanderson over the past couple of years has actually shared his dislike of how rights holders are paid, how so low it is, that he pushed it so hard that he pulled all of his audiobooks from, or excuse me, his future audiobooks from circulation through ACX, or through Audible more importantly, because of that percentage. And he went directly over to Spotify, Audible's competitors. And this past, I think it might have been this year, maybe it was last year, but he had shared that Audible, the team had shared that they were going to be changing that relatively soon, that we're going to see a different royalty very soon. How soon? Don't know. I'm hoping sometime in the next year. When I do find out something, I will let you know. Well, hey, we're only just starting out the whole journey of publishing audiobooks through various online companies. And next week, we're going to be talking about Findaway Voices by Spotify. I'm going to be doing a deep dive with them there. Till later, this has been Self-Publishing with Dale, and thank you so much for tuning in. I know this one was a little longer than usual. I'll catch you next week.